It is said that the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it to feel its warmth. Once upon a time, in the heart of the Ethiopian highlands, nestled between mountains and rivers, lay the village of Adia, a place of proud traditions and rigid beliefs. Here a child named Tesfaye was born under an ill-omened night. His mother, a young widow, died in childbirth, and the village whispered that his birth carried a curse. From the moment he could walk, Tesfaye was an outsider. The other children played in the fields, but he was never invited. The blacksmith refused to take him as an apprentice. The farmers shooed him away. The elders never let him sit close during gatherings. Even his own uncle Gebru, the village chief, barely acknowledged him. A child must earn his place, he would say, looking past Tesfaye as though he were invisible. But Tesfaye didn't beg for love. He watched, he listened, and most of all, he remembered one evening, as the village prepared for the grand festival, a time of unity and celebration. Tesfaye sat on the outskirts watching. People danced around the sacred bonfire, laughing, sharing food, and singing. It was warmth, but not his to share. That night, something inside him shifted. It was not rage, not sorrow, something colder. He left Adia and vanished into the wilderness. No one searched for him. Years passed. The village forgot. Then one night, as the sky darkened and the wind howled through the hills, a stranger arrived, tall, cloaked, with a face carved by time and hardship. He walked into Adia without a word. His eyes, once filled with longing, were now unreadable. No one recognized Tesfaye. He was no longer the abandoned child. He had become something else. "Who are you?" Gebru asked, standing tall at the village square. The stranger smiled. "A son of this village." That night, an unnatural warmth settled over Adia, not from the festival bonfires, but from an unease no one could name. People began falling ill. The crops withered without reason. The village's only well dried up. Livestock vanished in the night, leaving behind only traces of burnt grass. Fear spread like a sickness. Then the fire came. One by one, homes burned, not in a great consuming blaze, but in precise, calculated bursts. First, the barns, then the granary, then the council hut. The villagers ran in panic, shouting, but the fire moved like a living thing, as if guided by an unseen hand. And at the center of it all stood the stranger, watching, unshaken. Gebru, now old and weary, staggered toward him, eyes wide with horror. "Why? Who are you?" The stranger stepped forward, the fire reflecting in his cold eyes. "You never embraced me," he whispered. "So now, I bring the warmth to you." As the village of Adia burned, Tesfaye turned away, walking into the night. But just as he reached the edge of the village, a voice cut through the flames. "Wait!" Tesfaye turned. Through the smoke, a small girl stood in the village square. Her eyes were wide, not with fear, but with understanding. She was no older than 6, a child, innocent of the village's sins. Tears streamed down her face as she held out her tiny hand. "Please, don't leave me." Tesfaye's breath caught. The village had never reached for him, never called him back. But here in the wreckage, a child, as abandoned as he had once been, was asking for his warmth, not in flames, but in love. His fingers trembled. For the first time in years, he felt something beyond vengeance. Slowly he knelt, reaching for her hand. As their fingers touched, the fire behind him flickered. The flames, once uncontrollable, softened as if waiting. Behind the girl, the villagers gathered, their faces filled with remorse. Gebru, now on his knees, lowered his head. "Tesfaye, my son, we failed you, but don't let the fire take everything, not when you could be the warmth we never gave you." Tesfaye looked at the girl, then at the villagers. He had spent his life trying to burn away his pain. But here was a chance to build something instead. Tesfaye inhaled deeply, then closed his eyes. The flames flickered, then began to die. The fire, his fire, obeyed him. The village stood in the stunned silence as the once raging inferno shrank, retreating like a beast called home. By dawn, the destruction was severe, but the people still had their homes, their land, their future. And at the center of it all stood Tesfaye, holding the child in his arms. Adia would never be the same. Neither would he. The lesson from the story is that a child neglected by its own people will find its own way to be seen. But genuine love, even when given late, can still douse the flames of vengeance.